Welcome back to my cave once again, humans. It's time for Wave 2, Skylanders taking down Kaos by themselves. You know, what makes this interesting is that each character has their own unique playstyle. Some are more fun to play as than others, some are more simple, some are more complex. But every character has something to offer. Well, then again, when I think about it, most of these characters are more fun to play as than Spyro was. I feel like Spyro got a bit of a short straw, but I get it. They were trying to adapt the real Spyro the best they could, and Spyro breathes fire and charges. It makes sense. I do kind of wish they were a bit more creative, but it is what it is. Unlike the previous row, though, the other three rows don't have a consistent theme when it comes to the Skylanders. It's all just a grab. And this time around, we're going to be doing them in order of where they appear on the list of Skylanders. And if you need a bit of a refresher on the rules, you can go and watch my previous video. I think we might want to get right into the nitty-gritty. This time around, we got a full house of 8 Skylanders, and we are going straight to the midway point. Alright, let's get into the first Skylander of the video, which is...
Full scream ahead!
Just do what I do when I have problems. Scream!
That's kind of Sonic Boom in a nutshell. She's also in a weird spot where she's not really a melee user, but she's not really a range user. It's kind of hard to explain, but I will say she does have one of the better WoW powers. I wouldn't say it's as good as Stealth Elf's. I think Stealth Elf kind of got the big stick when it came to WoW powers, but it's pretty useful from what I can tell. Her main gimmick, besides screaming, is that she can shoot eggs that summon babies that attack enemies. Pretty useful if you need to dodge and want a way to deal damage while you're dodging. But to be honest, the eggs themselves, if you go that path, are pretty strong in their own right. Which, as you're gonna see, is gonna be pretty useful against Kaos. The thing with the eggs is that if you can hit them with more than one egg, that does a lot of damage. It's kind of like Camo's melons in that regard. The Scream attack is Sonic Boom's basic attack, but you can also power up her minions if you have acquired her soul gem. But, to be honest, lobbing those eggs is also really powerful, so I sometimes do that instead. But it is nice to have those minions out to do damage when you can't get in close enough. They're even doing damage to a Raptor during the cutscene. Nice. As you're gonna learn in this video, having an ability that lets you do damage and still dodge attacks is pretty invaluable, even if the attacks do seem a bit weak. But sometimes it's just better lobbing those eggs, as if you can hit an opponent with more than one, you can do Flameslinger? Where's Flameslinger? Must have been a glitch. I know it's like basic knowledge that as long as you're smart about things, you can win with anyone. But oh boy, does it help to do a lot of damage, and you can really rack it up against Kaos with those eggs. I sometimes feel bad for not even needing the minions, because those eggs are just so strong in this path. But sometimes you just don't get the chance, because the eggs don't reach all that far. And the Scream attack is a bit quicker. Plus, once again, having those minions out to do damage while you're dodging is pretty useful. Of course, you can't keep lobbing eggs and have the minions out at the same time. Once you lob eggs, new minions get summoned and your old ones disappear. So keep in mind when you want to keep lobbing eggs and when you want your minions. Oh boy, that was a Saved by the Bell moment there.
You think this is over?
And they're still beating the stuffing out of Kaos's chair. That's adorable.
Locked and loaded! Ha 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 ha!
Zook is a simple character. He has a straight projectile, a lobbing projectile, and a shield attack. Although, one thing that is really lame about Zook, there's this weird glitch where he can't always hit small opponents with his rockets. Much less of an issue against bigger enemies, but it is still annoying against those Gnashers. Of course, he can summon those mushrooms to keep his enemies at bay. Of course, I didn't go with the mushroom or the barrier path because that's going to be completely useless against Kaos. Of course, I went with the rocket path. But, I want to ask about Zook. A lot of the characters in this game seem to be based off of mythical creatures, like all the dragons, with Sunburn being a phoenix, and then there's Sonic Boom, who's a griffin. There's other things like elves, ents, orcs, yada yada yada. And then we got Zook, a living bamboo person. That's not a mythical creature. That's not based off of common high fantasy. What? Never mind. Honestly, beating Kaos with Zook isn't that hard either. It always helps to alternate between his mortar and his regular rockets. And you can use those mushrooms to dodge some of the attacks. Pretty useful against Stump Smash right now. A little less useful against Eruptor, but he's kind of annoying in general. Rangers usually have an easier time than melee users do. Usually. That's not a given. Right now, I'm kind of dancing for dear life right now. Alright, I got Hex. Come on, I need that food. Come on, give me the food. Give me the food. Come on, get it. Yes! Phew! Also, one thing I notice is that when you are low on health, Kaos defaults to summoning the deadly shark Bathodoom sharks. I guess he's trying to throw you a bone or something. Honestly, not much to say about using Zook against Kaos. Alternate between the straight rockets and the lobbing mortar. That's pretty much it. Don't even bother with the mushrooms. They're pretty useless here. Anyway, once you do enough damage, he goes down, yada yada yada. You know the drill. Zook isn't really the most interesting character to fight this guy with. There's gonna be some more interesting characters. Especially the next one.
Fear the dark.
Hex is a simple character. She has a straight projectile, an overhead projectile, and a barrier. Hey, wait a minute! Didn't we already have a character like that just now? Anyway, she's one of 3 pointy-eared human characters in this game. And there seems to be a 3 monkeys theme going on with them. With Hex representing Hear No Evil. Obviously, Stealth Elf represents Speak No Evil, and Flameslinger represents See No Evil. Though it's a bit harder to really tell that with Hex. I'd argue that Hex is better Zook. Sure, her overhead projectile doesn't seem as useful, it's much slower and whatnot. But there's some unique things you can do with those overhead projectiles. Remember how I said Zook has a hard time shooting the smaller enemies? Not Hex. And you know what? This feels like a glitch. I don't think the missiles are supposed to go over the heads of these enemies. They just sometimes do. But Hex is like...
That's such a lame glitch. I have the cool glitch.
Once you get to the last gauntlet of enemies, if you summon the skulls before the cutscene triggers, the skulls will rain down and attack the enemies during the cutscene. And what if I told you the glitches don't stop there either? During the Chaos fight, once you start summoning skulls, any skull you complete before the cutscene triggers gets added to the amount of skulls that rain down on Chaos. So if you complete 2 skulls before the cutscene triggers, you will add 2 skulls to the next skull rain you complete. How's that for a cool glitch? Admittedly though, that gives the raining skulls a niche, but they're not typically all that useful, at least not if you do the standard projectile path like I did. Maybe if you went with the other path, which improves on the barriers and the raining skulls, that might make a difference, but I went with the more straightforward path for her, and I lost a couple of times. Still though, she is a range specialist, and that does make the Chaos fight pretty easy. I wouldn't say this is the easiest one to beat him with. In fact, hold that thought for a moment. But she is still a pretty easy character to play as. And once again, those skull rain glitches are pretty fun to pull off. Getting a maximum of 7 skulls to rain down on Chaos utilizing that glitch, it's fun. I actually use that a lot to beat Chaos here. And just a little bit more. And next it is on to one of the most overpowered characters in the game.
It's feeding time!
For some reason, I keep forgetting Terrafin exists, which is weird because he's like the most popular Earth Skylander in the franchise. If there's any Earth Skylander I should not be forgetting, it's him. And speaking of which, he also might be the most overpowered melee fighter in this game. He can dive underground and actually dodge attacks. He also has fun combos you can use with AA and one of the 3 attack buttons. AAA does a roundhouse, AAB does that belly flop, and AAC does an uppercut. Personally, I like the uppercut because even though it doesn't do as much damage as the other 3, it's evasive and can dodge attacks, which is useful in its own right. Still, the belly flop is a pretty decent AoE, though I usually use it from underground, not in a combo. Still, it has its uses. I don't know why, I just really like the uppercut in particular though, just for how far it sends Terrafin and allows him to dodge attacks. I said Hex isn't the easiest Skylander to KO Chaos with. That's because Terrafin is the easiest to do it with. Like, I am being genuinely honest. Him swimming underground, that completely breaks the Chaos fight. It absolutely memes on him, assuming you do it quickly enough. Since, again, he can dodge attacks by doing that, and you have no idea how valuable that is. Especially in this battle. Like, incoming Deadly Shark Bath of Doom Sharks, I'm just gonna swim right under all them and even get some healing off of them. What a dick! Oh, and let's not forget summoning the mini sharks to do some AoE while he's swimming underground. That works on just about everything. We already know the stupid trick you got during the Deadly Shark Bath of Doom Sharks, but it works on the fire, it works on the life spell, and it works on the undead spell. Watch that. I just went right under it. Like, this move is genuinely awesome. Like I said, this might honestly be the easiest Skylander to beat Kaos with. Did I mention his attacks are also quite competently strong? Because that's a constant too with him. Alright, next.
Born to burn!
Alright, we've had several different instances where I went with the more straightforward path. Now we're going for the secondary attacks path. Because this making the lava barf much quicker makes it a lot more useful. Sometimes you just want to power up that secondary attack so you'll actually want to use them, because I don't think there's much use for the lava barf if you don't, I guess, but it's kind of slow. I mean, Eruptor's kind of a mid-ranger anyway. I guess the lava barf is good for AoE if you go with the lava path, but I don't know. This time I thought the lava barf path would be the more fun path. I mean, just look at this. Come on. I'm melting! I'm melting! Oh, what a world! What a world! Sorry, I had to do that. Oh yeah, he can also cough up these lava balls. I feel like they have more uses in practice. I'm not entirely sure what they are, but they can be a decent projectile if you need the extra range, so there is that. Honestly, I never really gelled all that much with Eruptor's moveset, but I have to admit, the spectacle of that eruption attack is pretty cool. I'm not sure how I feel about Eruptor as a character. They really flanderized him in Imaginators. Like, are you kidding me? You're made of lava, and yet you're afraid of bugs and rats. Two things that you could literally kill by touching them. Like, you're made of blazing hot magma, and you are afraid of things that can't even touch you. Yeesh. At least the eruption does decent enough damage, and the volcanoes do help. On an unrelated note, I always really like these spinning lasers. They're a challenging obstacle, but they're not unfair. I don't know, I have a soft spot for those lasers. I think that attack is kind of neat. Honestly, I kind of thought Kaos would be harder to beat with just Eruptor, but he's not the worst pick. We'll get to that in a bit, but I don't know, I'm gonna level with you guys. I kind of don't have that much to say. Like I said, Eruptor I never really gelled with that much. Although that lava barf on this path can be useful in getting rid of that certain life spell. I guess there's that. All in all, nothing about Eruptor's playstyle that really makes this fight any easier or harder. Use the lava balls when you can, lob when you can, use the pools, it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, I don't have much to say about Eruptor. Let's go on to the next guy.
Brace for the mace!
Wham-Shell, I have a bit of attachment to. Wham-Shell was the last of the original 32 Skylanders that I ever received a figure for, and to celebrate, I went on and soloed the entire game with Wham-Shell. I did that with a few others as well, but Wham-Shell was the first one I ever did that with. For this particular run, I decided to go with his Commander Crab path. And let me tell you, this was a mistake. This path turns him into a jack of all trades. And you know what they say, jack of all trades, master of none. It brings his projectiles up to his melee standards, but his melee isn't that great in Commander Crab, so you're basically just making two mediocre moves. At least the starfish can latch onto enemies and create a dot effect, except it's a really weak dot effect, and it doesn't even work on Kaos for some reason. This just baffles me because other dot effects do work on him, but not Wham-Shell's starfish. Are you kidding me? Well, I guess I got my work cut out for me. I just gotta play it safe, use his starfish, and, well, get some damage in when you can. I don't know what to suggest. That's all I can suggest. He doesn't have any speed-up moves, so dodging certain effects is gonna be difficult. And once again, he doesn't really have much power in his attacks, and it's just... Really, for most Skylanders, it ultimately comes down to how quickly can they kill Kaos, and how safely can they kill Kaos, and how well can they dodge their moves. These are the three factors, and while his safety is pretty good, everything else is kinda trash. At least in Commander Crab form. I should not have picked this path. Yeah, needless to say, this was not easy. But you know what? Eventually, I managed to do it. Eventually, I could just play safely enough and get him down to where I want him. Just gotta finish him off. Just gotta finish him off. He's almost dead. If I can just finish him off, then I will be done with this character. Come on, Wham-Shell. You can do it. I have full confidence in you. Just get some healing off the Doom Sharks. I don't know, the rhombuses. No, you still got it. Come on. Alright, almost there. Almost there, and...
No! No, no, no! No! No, 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 no!
That was as close as I could get to beating him with this path. I'm sorry, this path sucks! The damage output is terrible. He doesn't have any speed up moves. I'm sorry, it sucks. Let's skip Wham-Shell for now and move on. I'll come back to Wham-Shell later.
Acts first, questions later!
Okay, now Voodoo is actually a pretty fun one. Another melee user, but this one's actually pretty strong. Aside from generic axe swings, he also has this reverse scorpion spear, where he can shoot out the spike on his axe and then zip on over to the enemy. I don't use that move that much. The one I do use is that electrical tripwire. And it can be pretty nutso, as you're about to see. It just, look what I can do. Oh yeah, you can just spam those tripwires against Kaos and do immense damage. Like, wow. Okay, that is kind of OP in this situation. I chose the Elementalist path, which boosts his electrical capabilities in general, and that is what really boosts his tripwire, and I don't use his other attacks that much just because the tripwire is so strong. Like, do I even need to play intelligently? Just spam the stupid tripwires. That's all you need to do. Just keep spamming the tripwires. Okay, so I still actually need to dodge attacks. It's not gonna be that easy. Still, Elementalist Voodoo is one of the easier ones to beat Kaos with, just for how powerful the frickin' tripwires are. And it is kind of fun. I know it's kind of mindless, but it's still fun. Alright, let's move on to the last Skylander of the video before we get back to Wham-Shell.
Well, night sounds to drill.
Drill Sergeant might honestly be one of the most underrated Skylanders. First off, I like the trope subversion. They have this big character, so you'd think he's going to be all about power, but lo and behold, he is actually a speedster. Another cool thing is that he shares this in common with the Earth Skylanders. He can break up those rocks with his attacks. Only Earth Skylanders and Drill Sergeant can do that, and that's kinda neat. But not as neat as that auto laser of his. Auto laser aims at his enemies, and you can even dodge attacks and move around while you hold down the auto laser button. It may only do 2 damage per hit, but it hits a lot. And as you're about to see, this was super useful against Kaos. Now not even the deadly undead rhombus spell can really deter Drill Sergeant, especially since he's one of the fastest characters in the game. And you can combine the auto laser with his other attacks to do some pretty decent damage. Or you can just use it to dodge attacks while you deal damage. I really like that auto laser, I'm being honest. Like I said, Drill Sergeant might honestly be the most underrated of the original 32 Skylanders. A lot of people don't like him because he's big, but like I said, he is the fastest character in the game. I feel like they made him big because if he was smaller, he'd be overpowered. That laser is so useful. Although it's not super OP on the minions, it can only target one at a time, and sometimes you're locked onto one of the other targets that, even if you're trying to aim for one, it's hard for the auto laser to get off that one target. But when it works, it works. Hell, even being big doesn't make it that much harder to dodge attacks. Again, because he's fast. This character is surprisingly fast. Like, you would expect him to be a big bruiser, but no, he's a speedster. And I think that's kind of neat why they subverted that. I mean, you can kind of see it since he is a motorized vehicle, and motorized vehicles are fast. But still, I just think it's clever how they subvert what you expect a speedster to be. Once you get him into a good position, that auto laser helps him melt down the opponent. And even when you have to dodge, Drill Sergeant's awesome. I don't care what anyone says. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he is a fun character to use, and I will die on that hill. And with that, we have beaten Kaos with 8 more.
You think this is over? Ha! You think wrong!
Alright, I still gotta do Wham-Shell. Okay, so I conceded with this character. I decided that Commander Crab was just trash. And so I am gonna go down the other path. Captain Crustacean. But the question is this path better?
Yes! Yes!
Say goodbye to that lousy jack of all trades, and hello to your brand new, actually powerful melee specialist, whose slam attack is actually really good now, and acts as a much better range move with more power. And just like with Terrafin, he got some fun combo moves. That twirly move right there, I like doing that to melt away the damage from an enemy. It may not be the best at it, but it's still a fun move to use. But the question remains, will Kaos be easy to beat this time? Well, I'll admit, I didn't have a cakewalk with Kaos, but hang on. Aren't there supposed to be knights that get summoned here? That glitch actually happened a couple of times. Still, I am actually surprised at how much Mace of the Deep actually makes that slam attack worth using. It takes it from his worst move to something a bit overpowered. Like, it acts as a ranged move, and it's even strong. It does like 50 hit points per hit. That's pretty good. Still no speed up move, but just the fact that he now has an actually good AoE ranged move does make things a lot easier. Alright, can I beat these guys? I don't know, but I'm still gonna try and use the stars, even though there's only really niche purpose for them if an enemy is too far away for the Mace of the Deep attack. But, I don't know how useful that's gonna be for this fight. So, Mace attack, go. Come on, Wham-Shell. We don't want another episode like last time. We don't want another episode where we get really close to beating him and then we mess up. Come on. Watch all the attacks go by and plan accordingly. And yep, get the healing off the Doom Sharks. Come on. Oofda. Lots of healing from the Doom Sharks. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Almost there. Almost there. And you're... Yes! Whew. There we go. There we go. 16 down, 16 more to go. But until next time, I'm Belf, and the cave is closed.